I remember the exact moment I realized the importance of English in shaping my career. Growing up, English was not my first language, and although I had a basic understanding, it was nowhere near fluent. I went through school with decent grades, but whenever there was an English-related task, I felt somewhat inadequate. The turning point came when I applied for an internship at a multinational company and was rejected due to my poor English speaking skills. This rejection shook me. I had all the necessary qualifications on paper, but the lack of confidence in communicating in English was holding me back. That's when I decided I couldn't let language be an obstacle in achieving my dreams. I began my journey toward fluency, determined to improve my skills. At first, I felt overwhelmed. English seemed complex, with its vast vocabulary and seemingly strange grammar rules. But I was motivated. I started by watching English movies with subtitles. This turned out to be a brilliant decision. Not only did I enjoy the movies, but I also began picking up phrases, accents, and the flow of the language. Slowly, it didn't feel foreign anymore. The next step was speaking. It's one thing to understand English and another to express your thoughts fluently. To practice, I would talk to myself in English, describing my day or narrating imaginary situations. It felt odd at first, but over time, I grew more comfortable hearing myself speak in a different language. I also found online communities where I could chat with native speakers. These conversations were game-changing. Not only did I improve my vocabulary, but I also learned idioms, slang, and different cultural nuances. It wasn't just about language anymore. I was learning how to connect with people from diverse backgrounds. As my fluency improved, I began applying for jobs again, and this time, I had more confidence. I remember going into an interview at a company I had admired for years. In the past, I would have been anxious, fumbling over my words, but this time was different. I conversed effortlessly in English, and the interviewers were impressed not just by my qualifications, but by my communication skills. I landed the job, and that moment was a turning point. With English under my belt, I suddenly had access to opportunities that had previously seemed out of reach. I started working with international clients, and my ability to speak English became one of my greatest assets. It wasn't just a skill. It became the bridge between me and a world full of possibilities. Working in a global environment, I met people from all over the world. English was our common language, and it made collaboration seamless. I was no longer just a member of a team. I became someone who could lead conversations, guide projects, and even present in meetings confidently. As I grew in my role, I noticed that many of my colleagues who were not fluent in English struggled to advance in their careers. They were equally qualified, but the lack of fluency in English held them back from communicating their ideas effectively. It was clear to me then that mastering English wasn't just about language, it was about unlocking doors to career growth. I soon got promoted and was given more responsibilities that required me to travel. I had the chance to visit different countries, places like London, Singapore, and Istanbul, all of which I had only dreamed of before. Each visit was a learning experience, and being fluent in English made navigating these new environments much easier. My travels expanded my worldview, and I realized how interconnected the world had become. Whether it was business meetings in Hong Kong or conferences in Bangkok, English was always the medium through which we communicated. My ability to speak fluently set me apart and positioned me as someone who could operate on a global scale. Not long after, I was invited to attend a professional development course at Cambridge University. This was a huge milestone for me. Cambridge had always been a symbol of academic excellence, and now, because of my English skills, I had the chance to learn from some of the brightest minds in the world. Sitting in those classrooms, surrounded by international professionals, I couldn't help but feel proud of how far I had come. The discussions, debates, and exchanges of ideas all happened in English, and I realized that if I hadn't made the decision to improve my language skills years ago, I wouldn't be sitting there. After completing the course at Cambridge, my career trajectory accelerated even more. I began getting offers from prestigious companies and was invited to speak at industry events. Speaking at conferences was a surreal experience for me. I was no longer the person who hesitated when speaking English. I was someone others looked up to for insights and leadership. The ripple effect of learning English didn't stop at career opportunities. It enriched my personal life too. I made friends from different parts of the world, and the ability to communicate in English deepened those connections. I visited places like Egypt, where I explored the pyramids, and the Caribbean Sea, where I immersed myself in different cultures. Everywhere I went, English was the language that connected me with people. Eventually, I returned to my roots, but this time with a wealth of experience and confidence. My story became a testament to others who, like me, had doubted their ability to succeed because of a language barrier. I began mentoring younger professionals, helping them see the value of learning English not just as a career tool, but as a gateway to the world. Reflecting on my journey, I realized that learning English didn't just boost my career, it transformed my entire life. It gave me confidence, broadened my horizons, and opened up opportunities one had never imagined. English became more than just a language for me. It became the key to unlocking my full potential. The most rewarding part of this journey is knowing that I've inspired others to follow a similar path. Whenever someone tells me they're struggling with English, I remind them that I was once in their shoes. With time, effort, and persistence, they too can turn what seems like a challenge into an asset that will propel them toward success. It's incredible to think that something as simple as watching English movies was the starting point for all of this. What began as a small step grew into a lifelong journey of learning, growth, and achievement. And the best part? I know that this is just the beginning.